Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to DevChatter. It is, what day is this? Saturday? It's Saturday, and it's the weekend. Greetings. We're going to go ahead and get started here. Sorry about that delay. Glad to see some people showing up in chat. Nice to see you there, SNB Gareth and Stoolpenner. I just sent out my announcements. They're a little bit late, so I'm betting people will be slow to enter the stream today. But greetings, welcome. I'm glad to see a bunch. Thomas, welcome. So, for anyone who is new, welcome. Feel free to follow along, ask questions, make suggestions. You can chat, you can stay silent. It's all up to you, however you want to get involved with things. Couple of points that I want to make. So if you are new, first off, we actually keep pretty much all the code that we do here on stream is actually stored on GitHub at github.com/devchatter, so you can actually find all of that. If you're wondering where that is, that will take you out here. Well, technically github.com/devchatter will take you here. The project we're working on today is our DevStreams project. You can find information about the project and contributing, as well as who has contributed to the project so far, down below. We also have a list of issues. If you are so inclined to help out on the project, you can look up what is available there. So, a couple of details. I'll explain the project briefly and what technology we're using, and then we can go ahead and jump right in. So first off, this website is designed to be a community information hub almost. It's a place where people can find and promote different live streaming live streamers that are programmers, or not just programmers, development, right? So if you do design, UX, anything like that, anything related to software development, that is what this is for. We're going to be putting a schedule on there, as well as being able to find information and other stuff like that, and that is the goal of the project. So if you as a viewer are looking for who you can watch, this is the place that we want you to do it. Not GitHub, but like the site that gets deployed from this project, but I think you figured that out. The technology we're using to do this is C# and JavaScript using ASP.NET Core, so it's a .NET Core project. And for our front end, we are using VueJS to do all the bindings and interaction on the front end layer. And we can talk about some of the other libraries. I don't totally want to dive into everything we're using right now. What else do we need to mention? So, first off, welcome. If you don't know, my name is Brendan. It's listed right below me, but I think you probably figured that one out. And this channel here is DevChatter, and it's chatter because I expect to be talking, and for you to be talking, and for there to be some interaction, though no one is required to get involved in that. Other things to mention, we usually stream here 4 days a week on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Today obviously is our Saturday stream. And on, I believe it's Tuesday, we're actually coming up on our 1-year anniversary. So yes, Tuesday will mark 1 year that DevChatter has been going. So should be an awesome one. Thomas, I saw you said something. You have a statement. You were the first viewer today. I've never tried that before. Nice, Thomas. Well, welcome. And yes, hype for the 1 year anniversary of the stream, I would say. Okay, my lighting is messed up, and I need to figure out where it's messed up and why. Yeah. Okay, well, I don't see it easily, so hang on, where is it? It's there. It's that lighting that's bad. Not really clearing it, so okay, well, I won't worry about it. We have bad lighting today. Sorry, everybody, there'll be a glimmer in this area that I'm already partially covering anyway. Okay, so let's take a look at the code and where we are. So first thing to note, one thing I do in my process for branching, if you are a Git user, it's very common to have some kind of branching structure. Usually there's a master branch that represents what is currently in production. Most people do that kind of thing. And a lot of times there is a dev branch for the version that's usually on like a staging or a testing environment, and that is actually an integrated version, but it's not the deployed current version in most people's structures. There's many different ways of branching, obviously. You'll notice in some of my projects, if we do not yet have a deployed version, I use just the master branch, and I don't use a dev branch because it's added complexity and there is no live version yet. So I don't have the master branch, and I treat the master branch like it's the dev branch until we do our first deployment. Then I will create the dev branch, and that will be where we do our development. Would you recommend doing Vue for the front end over Angular or React? So if you haven't already invested heavily in one, I would recommend that you pick up Vue. One of the reasons why is the learning curve to pick it up is much nicer in Vue. So I think you can hand someone Vue and they can get using it even partially in some places easier than you can React and Angular. Though a lot of it comes down to preference. So I would really recommend that most people take a look at each one, see which one's style you like best, and choose based on that. Gareth, bone conductive headphones. Yes, Gareth, I do use bone conductive headphones, and the part of the reason I do that is I don't want to have any additional audio, and I want to be able to hear other things going on around me, one of those being if my cat is causing any problems, and I've got a sleeping kid downstairs who takes a nap while I do this stream. So I want to be able to hear things, and that's the best thing about the bone conductive headset is I can still hear everything. So I don't lose my ability to hear anything, and I generally use it for the background. If you want audio quality, don't get a bone conductive headset. It will not be as good, I find. So, all right, let's jump into the code. I know there are probably still people with questions and other things, but I don't want everybody waiting here for me to write code this whole time. So we are in a branch right now. Oh, and I will say, if you want to spend a whole bunch of money, you can get... do I not have GitHub Desktop running? I thought oh, yep, there it is. I will say, if you want to spend a whole bunch of money, you can get a really nice bone conductive headset. They're all usually more expensive. When I was looking for one, I didn't see any bone conductive headsets that were cheaper than the regular ones. And hang on, I see you guys chatting about stuff. Just give me a sec. Okay, I want to make sure we're up to date. We are in a branch. This is the branch that still exists. So we are in the tag filtering branch. I'm going to take a quick look at the history of this because I want to catch up with what we were doing on Thursday. So a couple of days ago, we did a couple of things with this. So we added a new page there with some links on it. And what did we do here? We messed with the streams calendar page to add in invoice. Okay, got it. So we allow on the calendar page to filter the content based on tags now. We'll show you what that looks like. Let's run the site. And Rubik's, yes, I got a haircut. Thank you. Literally right before the stream. Okay, so let me catch up a little bit on chat. Great for cycling and or running with the... yes, Stool Penner. I think a bone conductive headset would be very, very nice for all kinds of exercise. Are they decent enough? Yeah, if you just want to be able to listen to some music while you're doing things, it can get you that. The audio quality is not terrible, but I wouldn't like go out of your way to be like, yeah, these... You know, like if you're an audiophile, don't get a bone conductive headset unless you're planning on getting a really expensive one. I haven't messed with the really expensive ones, but I'm betting they're good. Because, you know, how else could they fight for such a huge price tag? I say that, yet I happen to know that probably could have that anyway. Dr. Grumpy. First off, welcome back. You asked about starting to code, so I thought starting with a free code camp, which I already did, might be a good idea so I can learn coding with JS. For that I thought about going on with Python, since it can be used with so many ways. Would you recommend this path? Glad to hear it, Dr. Grumpy. So if anyone in here is a beginning programmer, I will tell you there are a lot of good paths. So there are paths I would recommend against as a beginner. Some of them being some of the weird ones, like using by weird I mean don't choose a language so unique that you have trouble finding resources, help, and information on it. So choose a language, any one that you're interested in, high or low level, that has a decent community around it. And then what I would recommend is sticking with that one. Now, the way you choose the languages you're doing is you want to look at what you want to build with it. So look at what they're good at is the big thing. So that's why I point out to people that if you are interested in game development, C#, which is what we primarily do here, is a reasonable language for that. So is C++. I know there's some Python-based engines as well, things like that. It really depends on what you want to do, and just make sure you write a lot of code. And that goes for all the beginners, that goes for intermediate developers, advanced developers, I don't care who you are. Write some code. That doesn't mean you need to spend all your time doing it. Just do the fun stuff you want from time to time. It's good to program, good to get some practice in. Guidelines for contributing to the project. Gareth, I don't have them in place yet. I think you're in our Discord, so you could chat with me about that, but if there's something you want to contribute to the project, just let us know if it's not right on the issues list, and we can chat about it. But I would love to have some contributions to this project. Let me know what you're thinking. Generally, I'm good with any pull request that is reasonable, which means I don't expect you to have made this masterpiece of a work, but try to leave things in a better state than they were. My policy with pretty much every bit of code is try and leave the program better than you found it. So, so Gareth, the one thing, so if anyone is interested in contributing to the project, just take a look in the issues list. If someone already has if we've put a claimed tag on it, I think I'm the only one that can add the tags. So just comment that you want to work on that one, if there is an issue for it. If not, create an issue for it, and I'll go give it a thumbs up. So for example, on Simon's things, he created 2 issues in here, and I just gave him a thumbs up and said cool, and I marked him as claimed and marked him as enhancements. If I don't like the suggestion, we can chat about it on the issues list. So anything you want to work on, just toss it in there as an issue, and that way we can see it, and other people know that you're working on it, so they don't do the same thing. So that would be about the only thing. We don't have a super heavy process on it just yet. We may get there eventually, though. Let's see. And Rubik's is correct. Get really good at one language. At the beginning, you can do a variety of different languages to figure out which ones you like, and then focus on one, is the recommendation I would make. You started to build a blog with ASP.NET Core and C#. Where do you host your blog? Yeah, so Azure can get expensive if you need a database. The nice thing is if you're doing .NET Core, you can actually host them on Linux, and I believe that Scott Hanselman did a post about hosting... I can type Scott Hanselman hosting ASP.NET Core on Linux. He did one where he hosted it on the cheapest Linux server, which is why I bring that one up. Well, I don't see it, but if you search around for it, I know Scott did a post where he was talking about hosting .NET Core on the cheapest Linux hosting that he could find. So there is that. And a lot of times, and yes, for blogs, a static site generator is a great way to go. But if you were building it for the sake of learning ASP.NET Core, then that's a different story from what Gareth and S&B are talking about. So... penny pinching in the cloud. See, Gareth remembers the name of those. I know he did them, so that's why I bring it up. Alright, so let's take a look at what we can do with tagging. So, a couple of things. As I said, I want to get some basics in there. So, let's bring this up. Here's the site. So right now, what we have are, we need a little bit more sample data, which maybe I should actually build a thing that creates our sample data for us. I'm going to make a little helper, so this will help everyone who is working on this project. Let's add this to the startup, and I'm going to do this on the master branch. So we're going to leave this branch sitting because I want to add in a little helper for everyone else, because I think it will be useful. Okay, so let's make a new branch, and we'll call this initial data. So we're going to do a fun thing today. So first off, I'm branching off of master so that we can make an initial data branch. And what I'm going to do is this. we're going to go into the startup of the application. So I think that's where we're going to want to go. And where do we have our data context? Application DB context, this. So we have the DB context. Can we resolve an object at this point? Services dot S&B. Yeah, we do need to move to Dapper at some point. That is a good point. We should move to Dapper at some point. The question is whether that's going to be today. And I don't know that it's going to be today. So let me do this. ASPNET core initial data. Someone have a good way of doing this? Ah, here we go. Data seeding. Fantastic. Do they suggest where to call it? That doesn't really have a good suggestion here, guys. Because in the past, what I've done is just called it right out of startup. I wanted to see if the docs had a suggestion for this. For a better way to do it than the way I do it. You have a sample project that does migrations and data seeding. Oh! Oh, they're doing it as part of the... Oh! I get it. They must have added it in here. Migration builder, insert data. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, how do you define that? Is the data context anywhere? On model creating. Huh. Zultralord, why Dapper? Short answer, Dapper is a micro ORM. I am a big fan of Dapper, and we occasionally run into annoyances with EF, and the other projects I do on stream are already using EF Core, so we've got plenty of sample code for that, and plenty of streams where we've done that, and we'll continue to do Entity Framework Core development. However, we don't have a lot of examples of using Dapper yet, so I would like to use that a little bit on stream, and it's a nice ORM, and I think a lot of people are going to be able to see the value in using a micro ORM instead of a full-blown ORM, which is what Entity Framework Core is. Despite the word core, it is in fact a full-featured ORM that does like everything. Okay. Alright, we're not going to do it that way for now. I'm just going to hack it in here. So we'll do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do the simple approach. And we will just go with a quick little page that you can navigate to that we're just going to call init data. And anyone that needs to do this can just go there. This will be the page that doesn't exist. Only for development are we going to have this page. We'll call this init data. Excuse me. Alrighty. So, we can go ahead and create a Razor page here, and the nice thing is, because we're using the built-in IOC container, everything is already wired up for this to be able to get me a data context. So, app DB context right there, and we're going to call this, we're just going to call this DB. and we will introduce a field. It'll be a read-only field, and for now, what we're going to do is this. We're going to check to see if you have each type of data and create it. So try create. These are pages that you can do temporarily in a project before you get like the actual piece set up to run these. So we're going to create a spot where anyone can go and just do this. So we'll say try create channels. And as I said, they're just temporary, so don't worry when you're creating these about getting them perfect. Let's see. Gareth loves micro RMs, and exactly, you want to get things out of the way. That's one of the big reasons. And Dapper is easier to understand. EF is kind of complicated. Once you get it, it has a little bit of magic. But for some people, it has a little bit too much magic. And Zultralord, yes. We have seen some updates drop. I actually need to update my Visual Studio. It's out of date right now. So we're gonna say channels any. So let's wrap this. So if there aren't any channels, then we're gonna add channels. Whoops, actually, let's just do a for loop. For I, and the upper value is going to be 10. We'll make 10 channels. Whoops. So we're going to add a channel, new channel. There we go. And we are going to give it a couple of properties. These properties are going to be... Ooh, do we put everything in the same time zone? I don't know. Sorry, everyone. You get my time zone for now. Country code... name equals, and this, I'm going to put a $sign. So if you haven't seen this, it's not that new, but string interpolation got added into C#, so you can now just put a $sign right before your double quotes in C#, and you can do this. I can now just put a variable directly into the string. Interpolation's a fancy way of saying, like, insert into something else. So that's literally all it means here. Let's see, tags. We need the tags created first. So let's do that. Try create tags. If we're going to say _db.tags.any. So if there aren't any tags, go ahead and create some. And we want to say _db.tags add. And let's just actually create these ones. New tag, and its name will be C#, Whoops. I know how to C#, everyone. You can tell from my glasses. So C#, JavaScript, Java, English, And yes, I'm writing German instead of Deutsch. Sorry. German. Is temporary data. I'm gonna write game dev on this one. There we go. There's some initial tags. Yes, Blazor got its name change. Razor components for that stuff. Wait, sure I do what, Stoolpenner? Sure I do what? These aren't tags from my stream. These are just general tags. I haven't done any Java on the stream before, I don't think. There we go, some various tags. We did game dev. Let's say web dev also as a tag. Which I know those aren't going to be the ending tag names either, but it's a good start on some basic tags. We have channels are going to be like DevChatter and a number for now. Kind of like all the ESPN, so you can have like ESPN 8, there's going to be like DevChatter 10, or DevChatter 9, I guess. We don't go up to 10 here. We start with 0. Okay, so that'll add those in. This adds all the tags. Question is, do I save here? I think I'm going to save initially so they can get their IDs. Save changes. So we'll do that. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Hey, Nate, welcome. The 6 months of Twitch Prime. Hype! Maybe. There we go. There's the hype. Lots of hype in chat. I see a lot of dinos in the chat room, so that's awesome. Please don't do any Java on stream. oh, sure, I know how to do C#, yeah. Yeah, I could skip DevChatter 9 and go straight to 10. That'd really be a great way to do things. Okay, so we're going to add in these channels, and then when we're done, we want to do a save changes here. Whoops, _db dot save changes. Boom. Okay, so by saving those initially, I should be able to take these tags and apply them directly onto these. I guess I alternately could pull all these out and just use them. Actually, I might not have to save them, but I'm going to anyway. We'll do this as 2 separate saves. So try create channel, list of tags. And accumulators. Welcome accumulators. Thanks for that follow, much appreciated. We're just going to go ahead and grab all the tags, put them into a list. So this should get us all of them. And I'm going to create a quick little helper method that should exist anyway, and I kind of hate that it doesn't. Oops, private T, no, T, choose random item. And it receives a list of T items. I don't need this to be super perfect, so I'm just going to say private read-only random equals new random. So I don't really care too much about the seeding. This will seed based on time. I'm not worried about the security of it. It's not like I'm doing a poker site here or something like that. So I just need a random next of from 0 to a non-inclusive maximum, which means that if there are 10 items in the set, the number 10 isn't included, so it is items count, because I said list. So we'll call that index, and items index. The piece that I wish were always there is just a choose from a set randomness. Accumulators, yes, hello, greetings. A list of tea, yes, Stool Penner, we're going to be drinking different teas. It should be delicious. There you go, tea, Earl Grey hot. I'm actually, instead of calling it choose, I'm just going to pick random. Just leave off the item. Okay, so how many did I make? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. It's going to be a new list of channel tags. We're going to add tags to the channels, I think, then. So let's do this. We're going to change how I'm doing this. We're going to make this a list of channels. I'm going to call it channels to add, which actually we'll just call it channels, because clearly all we're doing with channels is adding them. So instead of adding them to that list, we're going to add them to this one. And then out here, we're going to say db add, whoops. We're going to do channels add range, although I don't think I have to. We're going to do it that way. Now what this does is this makes sure that I have access to only the channels we created, which I guess would be all of them in this case anyway. So it wouldn't matter too much. Okay. Oh. Tubo Gaming doesn't really matter. Either way, it makes no difference to our code, and that's the point. Andre, 2G, the items count -1 is not actually going to be necessary, because here's why. The minimum, if you check in the description here, this is an inclusive lower bound, and that is actually an exclusive upper bound. So it does not go up to the value that you put in as the maximum. So when we put in 10, it's actually 10 is not a valid option, only 9. So yep, good suggestion, but nope, we should be safe here. An earth-shattering kaboom? What happens if items is empty? Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do if items is empty, but I'm not worried about it, Fuel Snable. This is just to get us a basic set for anyone that's working on this project, just to be able to add these in. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to separate this. So we're gonna say try create channels, and this is gonna be try add tags. And you'll see why in a moment. So there's our tags. I'm gonna change up, first off I'm gonna change it to be an _random. This value, I am gonna, this value, I'm gonna make these channels be a field. So that's gonna be a field. Now, the reason I made this a field of the class instead of being a local variable here is that I can now access it, and whether it has items in it is what matters. Whoops. Meant to do that, which means I don't want the initialization here anymore. So now that is an empty collection, and it can be read-only. As an empty collection, we will add things to it if we needed to. If we did, that's when the collection has items. which means inside of this, if try add tags, the way we determine whether or not we need to do something is we say if underscore channels dot any. So if we added any to that collection, we know they need tags. So we will add the tags in here. And we will say underscore channels, we'll say for each channel in the channels collection. Tags is I'm going to go over to channel. It initializes automatically with an empty collection. So when we create it, we can just say tags add. I don't have to add a new item to it. So is there any reason to explicitly specify types rather than using var? Tubo Gaming, readability, yeah. So exactly, SNB knows exactly when I do it. So I like to see the type if I think it's relevant. In this case, it really isn't all that relevant. I can var it, but it just defaulted to that, so it doesn't really make a difference. On this one, the toList doesn't color highlight for me, so I would still list of tags that instead of doing a var there, as it makes it clear what that type is. Because at least in our system, this could have been a list of channel tag, for example, and I want to be certain that that is actually, these are the tags when I see that line. So I use types if it's not otherwise obvious, but you'll notice on this line, because channel is here, I use var there. So I use var if it's really obvious what it is. So that's my general rule. So this is a new channel tag that we're gonna there we go. The channel tag, it needs to have its channel, which it's going to get its channel association by being added to the channel set, and it needs its tag association by getting this tag assigned. So we're going to do a PickRandom from the tags list. Whoops, yeah, don't put a semicolon there, Brendan. And actually, I'm going to do this. So that'll be how many to pull. So let's do a quick one of these. We're not going to be super careful with this. And I'm going to say unique items. I'm not going to be careful with this. I'm not going to test it. This is throwaway. So I'm just going to be careful with this one. I love the conversations about using var making people feel dirty. That's funny. I use var on the basis that you can hover over to get the type. Yeah, so a lot of people do like that. My challenge with var is the same. The biggest problem I have with var is actually the same thing that makes it useful. And let me explain. If I were to change the type that is returned from a method, if you're using var, it just happens, which a lot of people consider to be a convenience because, oh, I didn't have to go change that where it was. But the significance is sometimes it matters that the type changed. So I at least like to have the chance to, think about it when it changes. And if all we're doing is changing a basic type on a method call, it's nice if I can be like, yeah, was there a consequence of that? So the underscore, we just do the underscore on private fields, Thomas, because that's a good way of just being able to at a glance notice, okay, that's a private field. That's one of the internals of this class. It's a common thing. Okay, so we're picking random tags and we want to choose a random next. So we want at least one tag on every one, and at most 3 tags, so we'll do 4. So every channel will get 1, 2, or 3 tags that we choose randomly. So let's go down to our PickRandom. Now, because I added this count, I need to change what we're doing here. This is no longer a single item. This is now a collection. So this is going to return a list of T. And I didn't define the return, so that's fine. New list of T. So we'll return back the list. And this will be for I up to count. So that's how many times we're going to do this. Instead of just grabbing an index, this is going to put an item into the list. This is going to add in items at the index. And it needs to not be the previous one. So no, we're not going to do it this way. This is not how we're doing it. I had in my head what I was going to do, and then when I went to go do it, I didn't. Okay, so here's what we do. We have rock, paper, scissors going on. Nice. Yeah, so Thomas, that is something we do generally just for the private fields. It's just a good way of indicating those. There are a lot of naming conventions, and you can actually find there is a naming conventions and guidelines and things like that. So the underscore for private variables and for private fields. That's not everybody goes with that one, but there are conventions for these. So you can actually find documentation on like naming guidelines, things like that. So names of type members. So I don't know if it's still common within the .NET naming to use underscores. Yeah, so they don't like this for static fields. Do not use a prefix for field names. Yeah, see, I don't think they like it anymore. Specifically the Microsoft team. But they did for a while. I like it. A lot of it comes down to what your team does, and just try to match with your team. If you can all agree on what it should be, then go with that. Anyway, we're going to do for I up to count -1. Actually, we're just going to go up to count, and we're going to start at 1. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say... oh, actually... no, we're going to start it at 0. We're just going to do this. I was derping there for a second. Sorry, everyone. We're going to say list.add. And actually, instead of being called list, we're going to call it something else. Items, index, plus I. And then we're going to do one other thing with that number. But hang on 1 second while I rename this. So instead of calling this list, we're going to call this result. Result. There we go. Just so we know that's the return value. So for this, we're going to add on that many items. I guess I could choose randomly and skip to that number and then just take... we wouldn't always be guaranteed to get the right number set. And yes, Gareth, I would usually write it as a as an extension method. Cookie Sharper shouts at you if you don't use an underscore for private fields. I do believe that is one of their conventions there by default, S&B. Actually, I don't mind a really nasty global variable prefix. And the reason why I don't mind that is because I don't like having that many global variables, so making global variables a pain is a good thing. And yes, Gareth is correct. It lets you know you should never have access to anything with an underscore anywhere else. So that's the idea. And I really don't like the M underscore. I like just an underscore. The M is a bit too much. Okay, so we're going to add this in here. So that plus that. And just for clarity's sake, I'm going to wrap these in parens and say mod items.count. Okay, so this is the fancy part for anyone that doesn't know. Modded index. So essentially what I'm doing here, just a quick explanation because the code's interesting, so if you missed it, I'm taking a randomly selected index. Let's say that this is index number 8. So 8, in this case we'll say our count was 3. So the first time through this loop, 8 plus 0, mod 9 is going to give us the value of 8. The next time we're going to say 8 plus 1 is going to give us the value of 9. And then modulus 9 is actually going to give us the value of 0. So if you don't know what the modulus operator is, that basically means divide by this number and give me the remainder. So that's the easiest way to explain what a modulus operator is. So the idea here is that I'm essentially wrapping around in my collection. So when I hit the last value, I actually go back to the beginning. And actually it's mod 10. Mod 10, not mod 9. I told you the wrong thing. 9's still valid. It's when we hit the 10th one that we go back to 0. Told you the wrong thing. But either way, the explanation still stands. Team coding standard. And yes, whatever your team coding standard is, follow that. But it's a good way of establishing your coding standard is to actually think about it. The DL guy, hello, welcome. You're starting your C# journey and you're wondering if I had a beginner playlist of step-by-step learning. I do. You can actually find that information out on my YouTube channel. Is the best place to find that. There is a playlist on my YouTube channel of our Learn to Code in C# streams. So if you click that link, it'll take you out here to the DevChatter channel, and you can click over onto playlists. And we have a playlist called Learn to Program in C#, which is right here. And that'll get you started. So if you are interested in learning C#, we have a bunch of stuff on the basic C# that you can learn from there. So links over there in the chat as well as down below the stream. So any beginners interested in learning C#, that's the way to do it. Modded index should get us that. We'll add the items in. We'll pull from the modded index, return back the result. That should give us a random set. So when we get our tags, instead of creating a new channel tag this way, we're going to do it like this. Let's grab this value right here. And we're going to say for each one of those, tag, and this will be tag. So there we go, super nested, but that's what it'll do. So essentially we'll say for each one of our channels, grab a random set of tags that we are going to create a channel tag for. And I'm only setting the tag. I shouldn't have to set the channel because it's getting added here. I guess for safety's sake I could double reference it and just put the channel on there. But that's kind of silly. Technically unnecessary there. It should still figure it out either way though. And then after we've done that, I want to do db.save changes. Now, last thing we need to do after setting up our tags is we need to create some scheduled streams. So try add scheduled streams. And I see stuff happening in chat, everyone. I'll get to that in a second, don't worry. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to get my thoughts on the program before we check into that. db.scheduledStream. So if that is any, if there aren't any of these, then we need to create them. No. Actually, it's if there are any channels. That's what we're doing. If we created any channels, we want to add this to the channels. That's what it is. Okay. So we had channels, which means we want to add scheduled stuff to them. Okay. How did we add those previously? Did I ever extract out that code? Let's find out. Nope. Okay. One other thing we need to do as part of this is extract that code so it's done correctly, so that we don't have the problem we have right now. Oh, I'll check the chat and then get on that. Yeah, M underscore is left all the framework to not break C. Elizabeth Field. Yeah, that makes sense, Tubo Gaming. No problem, the DL guy. Glad to assist. Your rule is that the coding standards must fit on two sides of A4, so I'll say letter, because that's what we call it. It's not exactly the same, but A4 and letter are almost the same size, and close enough to be annoying, to be honest, because they almost match. I think I'm done with 2 lines down to... Gareth, no, because we don't really care whether or not they did anything. Technically they should return a bool, but I'm hoping to toss these out. I just want to do this so that the handful of people that are interested in working on this project can get their basic like data set up by just going and running this page. Why not build classes and instantiate the class in the CS file? Why not build classes and instantiate the class in the CS file? Oh, so Thomas, we have classes for these. But we don't want to do that there. This is just our test data. This is just some basic throwaway test data. Sounds good, the DL guy. Yeah, looking forward to it. One of the nice things is, once you get a good understanding of even the basics of C# and programming, you can start to follow along with the streams, even if we're doing more advanced topics. So that's one of the nice things. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. This is going to be... extracted code. There's the name of my service, extracted code, because I don't know what it does yet. But I'm going to pull it, and we're going to make it do something. I'm just going to take basically this, I think. Whoops. Do something. Public async, and it's going to void for now, because I don't know what this does. I guess it's not going to void, it's going to task, because we made it async. Yes, please insert the types. Okay. This needs to have a context, so app DataContext that we're going to call context, and it's introduced. There we go. This is the Microsoft Entity Framework include that we're going to have there. We were supposed to have channel ID, which I guess got passed up to us, so that's a parameter. What is stream? Oh, that's the model object that we got passed as well. So we got past these. For the channel and the stream. Thomas, yeah, I agree. I actually do really like C#. It's a good one. Let's see. So that gets us that. Oh, we need our clock. Oh, that's funny. I did not. I faked that for now. I didn't actually dependency inject that. So let's do this. Services dot add, this doesn't need to be scoped. This actually is going to be a singleton, because I believe that this is actually the node at time I clock. I think we can actually just have one permanent instance of this. Yeah, it's recommended that we only have a single recipe reaction where it's dependent if... Yeah, okay, there we go. I'm pretty sure that can... oh, yeah, singleton implementation. Yep, okay, so since it's a singleton anyway, we're just going to use the singleton. Actually... Was it a... Oh, systemclock.instance. Okay, we're going to do it this way. I think I can add the instance in here. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to have a reference to that as the singleton. So essentially what I did here is this. I'm going to explain how this works. I told it, anytime any class that you try to create asks for an iClock, I want you to give it this system clock instance. So node@time is set up so that it will statically return this instance. So I'm going to use that one. Just because I believe that's how node@time actually wants to work. So I'm going back to the extracted code. I saw someone say something in chat. Give me one moment to catch up on that. We need to import that. And there we go. There's all the red. Awesome. Well, Thomas, biggest thing I can say then is practice your C# and you will get better at it. Is it wrong to say that the async and await needs each other like override and virtual? Stolly, actually, I would say that that's a valid way of saying that. They do need each other. There's a reason we say async and await. They really are like the same concept. Best thing about C# is that it is well designed but not overly opinionated. It adopts the best features from exactly, yes. I think it has not gotten to the point where it's super cluttered and messy, but it gives us a reasonable number of ways of working through any kind of problem. So if there is a programming paradigm you like, C# generally has a way to do it that way. Yeah, so Stolly, as FuelSnable mentions, they aren't always required to use each other. So your suggestion of override and virtual are a pretty good approximation of that concept, because if you want to use one, like one requires the other. So if you want to await something, you want to be in an async, but you can call the other one without it. And welcome, I'm guessing Psyche. I probably just butchered that, but welcome, thanks for following. And if anyone else is in the chat and enjoying the stream, be sure to click the follow button. Best way to get notified when we go live. Welcome. Okay, so this, we called it do something. I don't know what it does yet. I need to figure that one out. So we grab the channel. So this is getting the channel. That's the channel we're working with. We really need to hide that away somewhere. Channel, scheduled streams, add. This gets us our time zone. So I am going to do... actually, do we version anywhere? We use the version there. It's the only place we used version. Zoned clock to get the current date. Okay. So we do use the time zone in a couple of places. We do use the zoned clock in a couple of places. Today is only used to do this. I'm going to call this next of day. Okay, so I'm going to explain this code just so you can all understand what this one is doing. Yes, Coding Karma, you heard a hype. So here's what we're doing. So this gets us our channel out of our database. Then we are going to add the stream that we just received to that channel. And so this is the basic operation. This gets us our saved data. But we need to do something else, because we create, when we do this, we create a sequence of additional elements when we do this. So I'm going to separate this code out, because that's all done already. So let's extract this as a method, and we'll call this do other thing, because I don't have the name for it. You'll notice this one also takes in the stream and the channel, and actually I want to reverse that. So let's change the method signature, and we're going to flip these values. There we go. So now it takes channel then stream, so sort of matching that one. What did it use channel for? Just to get the time zone? Maybe we should just take time zone instead. Well, let's make that a parameter called time zone. Let's remove that parameter. So there we go. So fixed, it'll just take in the time zone. We don't want that to be in line there. We want that to be a variable now. So var time zone. Do I want to var that? We'll leave it that way. Okay, so there's our time zone. There's our stream. There's that. And actually, SNB's right. I should point out, because I know we have a bunch of beginners here. Thanks, Dean. Doing well. How are you? And you've already responded. You're doing fine. So SNB pointed out something very important that I should mention in this naming lesson. These are not the permanent names. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to figure out what the method does after I've extracted it. So a lot of times I will extract a method and then I will say like, okay, it's just do something. It's do the thing, it's whatever, and then I'll fix the name. The reason why I do something like do something or do other thing or do the thing is that you know immediately that's not the name. You're not trying to intuit it, so it doesn't steer you wrong. Because the worst thing you can do is have a method that has a misleading name. This, I can tell, okay, I just haven't named the method yet, so I need to read through it and figure out what it does. So this is add scheduled stream to channel. So that now has that, and this is doing create stream sessions. Create stream sessions. Is what that one does. So these are the two separate pieces here. Okay, so you just finished a 5-week class for ASPNET Core MVC. Yeah, in a 5-week. So whenever you're learning beginner stuff, you always learn beginner stuff. So especially if you were just a, if you're a new programmer, Stolly, then you would not cover anything all that advanced. And welcome, Paramedic. Thank you for following, much appreciated. I had to do a big final project in my for my degree. It's pretty normal to have a thing like that. Our capstone project, as it were. Let's see. Derpy derp, create stream session, so we'll create that. That's the next day of the week, and then what we're going to do is we then go through a year, and do we actually use I? No, we don't. So I don't care about the int I at all because I'm not using it. And then we're just nexting on it. Your capstone is a website in PHP. I'm sorry, NSO. I'm sorry. Fuel Snable. Technically, yes, but we're just sort of fudging it to 52. Because that basically covers, roughly speaking, a year's worth of time. Notice you're missing views. Oh, no. So Stolly, this is not an MVC project. This is an ASP.NET Core project using Razor pages. So we don't actually use views. We use Razor pages. So the pages are kind of like that concept. They're sort of like a combination of a view and a piece of a controller combined together. Is the quick way of explaining that to someone that knows MVC. It's sort of like a view with a built-in controller piece for it. What is the most use cases of C#? Probably. You said web and cloud. So keep in mind that web stuff can be on the cloud. So I would really say the most common use case of C# is probably web applications. Although you'll find a lot of desktop applications are built in it as well. And in addition to being able to make games, there's also Xamarin. So you've probably used mobile applications that were written in Xamarin before. I can't tell you off the top of my head which ones, but if you use Android or iOS and you've had your apps, you've had a reasonable number of apps, some of them are written in Xamarin. Which uses C#, and Unity is the most common place where you'll find C# game development. Okay. So that's 52 weeks in a year, so this will grab the next local start date, end date, and then that'll do that, add them in there. And then this is the extracted code. Extracted code is a terrible name for a class. Let's fix this. What is this? Get stream session. Oh, that's interesting. This is get. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Yes, sorry, questions in here. You've used views with Razor pages too, sorry. Stolly, I will answer that. Be glad to. So Thomas, yes, kind of. So cloud development with C# can be a lot of different things. You can create a lot of services that are written in C#, and that is not web development. If there's any kind of an API attached to it, I would call it web development. Another point that I do want to make is this. If you're using ASP.NET Core, which is the common thing running on the cloud right now, is the thing people are building today, I want to show you what type of application I'm building right here. If you look up above my head where that cursor is, you'll see the output type of my web project is a console application, because ASP.NET, yes, SNV's chiming in with exactly what I'm pointing out. These are console applications, so we might say it's a web project, but a web project is a console application now. So that's the weird part with ASP.NET Core, is it really is a console. So you're welcome, Stolly. And so someone asked a great question. Stolly was asking a question about views. The difference is this. The view page that you're used to with an ASP.NET MVC is a CSHTML file, which is what you see up here at the top. The difference is, if I go over here, this is not a Razor page. You're using a Razor view, and a CSHTML file is a Razor view. The difference is your CSHTML file does not have @page. It does not have this declaration at the top. So this first line here is what tells it it's a page and not a view. When you have a page, there is a backing model that it uses. So that means there is actually a CSHTML.cs file right behind it. And this CS file gives you a page model class. And yes, so you use a model, but because I have the page on the top, it expects my model to be a page model, which does a couple of other things. It makes it so I conventionally have access to an onGet method. So if I've defined one of these, it will automatically run it. So it basically, through means of convention, will look for these methods to exist and will attempt to run them. So that's the idea, is when you navigate to this location, it will treat this as a page. It will give it this URL. It will have init data, will be the address of it, and it will automatically run that getter. Works a little differently. You're welcome, Thomas and Stolly. Glad to provide that information. I think a lot of people are interested in it, so they're very good questions. Extracted code is a terrible name for this. I am going to call this the scheduled stream service for now, which is a terrible name. I'm sorry. Terrible name. Terrible name. Terrible name. Hang on, ReSharper's dying. You're renaming a file. Would you also like to perform a rename in this project for all references to the code? Sure. I don't think there are any references, but go for it. And yes, S&B, the view integration is fun. It's very lightweight and easy to add in. Okay, so stream session service right there. And why did the other one disappear? Scheduled stream service right here. Let's extract out an interface if we can. There it is. Extract out an interface. Yeah, you can put it here for now. And this other piece, this I might move into another class. We'll see. So I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to move this into our core project. And yeah, our organization's not great on this yet. Our naming's not great on this. We've got stuff we need to work on. This code's not as clean as it could be, but it's not terrible either. And that's the big thing that I'll tell everybody. As developers, we could spend hours and hours and hours making sure that everything we do is as clean as possible. And I would generally say try to get things clean when you can, but do the best that you can in the time that you've got, and try to make things better. Saki, do you want me to call you Dean? Dean's probably easier for me, so I'm going to go with Dean. And you're welcome. Glad you're enjoying the stream. I should mention, because there are probably some new people here, if you haven't, be sure to join our Discord. It's a great place to chat with me and the other DevChatter people outside the stream. So, my next class is Web API, so I'm not done with ASP.NET Core. Glad to hear it, Stolly. Yeah, we use Web API in here. Web API controllers inside of ASP.NET Core. So this, for example, is an API controller that we just use here. So, quite nice and convenient. And Navarro for the win. Welcome, thanks for following. At least that's what I'm guessing that name stands for. Okay, so that is there. That one's up there. Let's go. Hey, Greendorf, you made it. Oh, 9 months. Woo! That was a 9-month resub right there. That's awesome. We need some hype for that one. I can't miss the hype on a 9-month resub. Very cool. Hype. Anybody else that's got emotes, any other subs in the channel, make sure you spam some hype in the chat there. We want to see a bunch of that. It's a 9-month resub. That's really good. So here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna do this. I know, so much hype. Okay, so maybe I should start checking out .NET Core on Linux. Coding Karma, yeah, you can absolutely check it out. Exactly, Stolly. Hey, anyone that has Twitch Prime can actually subscribe for free, Stolly. So they don't have to. You don't necessarily actually have to spend money on a subscription. You'd have to have already spent money on Amazon Prime, because if you have Amazon Prime, you do get Twitch Prime for free. So anybody that has Amazon Prime can actually get a free sub every month to whatever Twitch channel they like. It's a nice addition, because then you can, you know, sub to channels pretty easily. Okay, so I think that'll be good. So back here, we need this to, first off, not have that big ugly thing. We don't need namespaces on here. This is this was generated code, that's why it's got the giant namespace on there. I schedule stream service. There we go. Introduce that field. Down here, I'm gonna just get rid of all of that. Add that. Channel ID, stream. There we go. So we're going to await that and then do that. Let me see. A bunch of stuff going up in chat. So much hype. Sadly, Amazon isn't really a thing where I'm from. Oh, yeah. Well. Yeah, so I don't actually know where in the world Amazon has actually made it to, but that's an interesting one. Navarro for the win, absolutely. We are so currently I'll give you a couple of bits of explanation. The first one is we're building a community site for developer streamers. That's why we call this our Dev Streams project. So we want to make a site where essentially you can learn about different developer streamers that exist. As a streamer, you can put your channel up here and be able to tell people about it, put in some tags so that people know what kind of content you've got, and then also put in your schedule so other people can see when your streams happen usually, and potentially show up to them. So it's a good way to find channels even if they're not currently streaming, because normally the best way to find a channel is to go and catch them while they're live, which is not ideal for really finding ones that you want to watch, especially if you could make time depending on when they are. And then the other thing is that obviously if you're a streamer, it's a good way to reach out to other people. We obviously want to do more things than just do schedule and stream, but that's where we're starting. And the task I'm currently doing is right now we're refactoring a little bit so that our other piece can work a little bit better, because we kind of left that in there. We hacked something in. But anyway, the short answer is we are making it so there's some initial data so that people that want to contribute to this project, when they start it up, they can just go to an init data page and get a set of data at the beginning. So they can just choose to get this data set if they want it. Let's see. And yes, it's a surprise when companies aren't big basically everywhere, because large companies tend to get around. You just got a... Oh, nice, Fuel Snable. Amazon isn't popular at all in Scandinavia. You're guessing the taxes are too... could be Coding Karma. I don't always know the reason. See, so you ordered a Stream Deck? Yes. Yeah, a bunch of people have ordered Stream Decks now. Many of us... exactly, Janiscu. Brain too fried to write that sentence properly. Hope that made sense. I think it did, Coding Karma. Exactly. Yes, precisely, Navarro. And by the way, in case you're wondering, We do stream here 4 times a week on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so you're welcome to join our streams in the future as well. And anyone that's interested, I do highly recommend checking out our Discord as well, as it's a great place to actually communicate with me and the other people that are here in the channel. If you want to check out our code or contribute to this project or any of our other projects, I linked to that as well over in the chat. Our GitHub repository is github.com/devchatter, and there are links to all these things down below as well. Let's see. Yes, and Amazon, AWS is clearly everywhere, but like Amazon, the store is not necessarily everywhere. Okay, so I think I got all of our code extracted. I can get rid of some of the pieces we're not using anymore because they got pulled into that class. And welcome. I'm guessing Darius? Thanks for that follow, much appreciated. If I ever screw up anyone's name or I've been screwing it up for weeks, that's still fine, let me know, and I will try to say it better next time. But welcome everyone. If you're enjoying the stream, be sure to click that follow button. Have I ever played around with reading and writing memory? I have done some stuff messing with memory before, Stolly. In other programming languages, like, if you use C, for example, you do actually have to manage memory in that. You ordered things from Amazon, but you have to wait a while to get stuff. Oh, yeah. The hilarity being, where I am, you can order stuff from Amazon and get it that same day. So, it is crazy. Some of those things. There are some places where like 4-hour delivery is a thing. Like you can order from Amazon and have it show up where you are in under 4 hours. It's kind of disturbing. And Madman, thank you for that follow, much appreciated. Welcome to DevChatter. Plutonin, yeah, I can probably explain a little bit about that. Let me see what else is going to peek and poke in basic back in the day. Yeah, so there's some. I will say I'm glad that in C# I don't have to mess with memory. It's not that it's hard; it's that when you screw up messing with memory, you've really screwed up. So that's one of the big things, is it's easy to mess things up. Okay, so I think we got everything extracted from that's no longer needed in there. Okay, let's see how we are. Last thing I want to do is add that to our init data page as well. Oops, this one. Scheduled stream service. Whoops. There we go. That'll get us a field there. If we had any of these, then add streams channel. Every channel is going to need to have, we'll give every channel 2 streams, I guess. Oops, 2. And actually this should be for each channel, not on any. That's silly. Because a for each on something works kind of like an any, because if there aren't any, you skip the loop entirely. So let's say we're going to change how that works. It's going to take in the channel. It'll take in the channel and the stream. Changing the interface. Changing the interface. Channel. which means this goes to the point where that is referenced, which is inside of here. Right here. So channel ID, we pass in channel. Now I need to go to the interface, and this becomes channel. There we go. So this takes in two model objects and does its thing. And that passes in that value. So that looks like it works. This matches, does that. Doesn't need to have any extra work done, just needs to be one of those. And then lastly, in here, we can just pass in the channel. And then this is the new stream, so let's pull this out as a variable. Whoa, that is not what I wanted. I didn't want to task that. No. Ooh, I need to await them all. Ooh, I could make it a collection and await all of them at once. Whoa, hang on, okay. Wow, alright, hang on. Chat blew up while I wasn't watching. Plutonin, I will answer that question that you asked in a little bit. Just give me a second to get through this stuff. Worked in logistics, I'm very impressed with the company that managed to ship sub 24 hours. Yes, Fuel Snable, it's amazing. And yes, we have things like memory of T, which give us a window into a section of memory, which is a much safer way of accessing data in those ways. Yeah, so Navarro, you'll find a lot of hate for a lot of languages from a lot of communities. Never worry about it. Just use programming languages and frameworks that you like. It's best just to, you know, just kind of like brush that stuff off. We occasionally will get like a Microsoft hater in here, which is silly because, to be honest, before like literally 2 years before I was a Microsoft MVP, I had Linux installed on my computer and programmed in Python. So like, that's the silliness of it. It's like, yeah, no, I mean, like, everybody makes good tech. Span and memory, yes, we do need to play with those. They are good stuff. Gareth, have a good one. If you're still here, take care. And yes, S&B is very cool. And yes, coding karma, yes, learning about dealing with memory in like a C or a C++, for example, is a fun thing to know how to do. But once you know how to do it, you'll be like, wow, that's really cool. I can see a lot of usefulness and I understand why someone would want to do it. And you'll usually, for most application development, want to switch back to C# or some equivalent. Yes, modern C++ is very different. And Lycan, yes, exactly. Every language has its purpose. No, Thomas, I've never worked at Microsoft. MVP is most valuable professional or something along those lines. I forget what it is. It's something like that. They're basically the people in the community that Microsoft really loves, is the best way to describe the MVP program. Oh, and for anyone that is wondering, because I did just notice that I got a message over in Discord. Speaking of which, Discord promo, the headphones, and actually any of the tech stuff that I use for the stream, you can actually find links to that down below the stream. They are links to the Amazon site, so if Amazon, doesn't work in your country, you could still at least find which headphones they are, because it should still be listed down there, I would think. There are also book recommendations and things like that for anyone that is wondering. Lots of good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and extract this variable. And I do still know that I need to cover some basics of our IOC container and that sort of thing, because people asked about it. So there's our scheduled stream. I don't need to add the channel because we're going to add the channel to it when we do that in here, I believe. So I'm not going to do that. Day of the week is going to be it's a 1 through 7 value. Then I'll go 2 a day of week from that. Okay. Which we'll do a random next of 1. So we'll pick a random day of the week for this stream to happen. And I don't know whether or not I want to adjust time or not. So I'm just going to do this. The local start time, everybody is going to start their streams at basically the same time-ish. I think, and we'll add I'll just add a number of hours. So we'll start at 10 a.m. Actually, local time.noon, that's perfect. Plus hours, random next, between 0 and 5. 10. We'll give 9 hours of variance to that. This value we need to save. So we're going to say plus hours of random next, and it's going to be at least, we're going to say streams are at least 1 hour long and up to, say, 4 hours. Six hours. Why not? Everybody gets a random set of data when they run this. And anything else? I don't create the sessions, I don't create the channel, I don't create the ID. That's all we need. So we need the day of the week, start time, and the end time. The channel should have its time zone set already, so that should be good enough. Wow, a whole bunch of stuff. For example, it took you 10 plus years before you understood how the generational garbage collection could work and the overhead it implies. Yeah, Fuel Snable, that's a very complicated concept, actually. Thomas, I have read many of the books that I recommend, and they are good books. That's why I recommend them. I make the exception that I have not read necessarily the version of each book that I'm recommending. So I have read a little bit from John Skeet's book in a previous version. Don't necessarily need a garbage collector to have memory managed and for you in the age of Rust. Let's see, I used to only use Windows, but for programming I feel Linux is just more stable. It's not saying I hate Windows. Okay, so yeah, Android development on Windows you could definitely run into problems with. All things have their own problems. Okay, caught up on chat. Okay, so here's what we're doing. So we're grabbing a randomly selected local start time, and then we're also going to grab an end time that is 1 to 6 hours after the start time. And then we're going to tell it, go ahead and create this, and that should create our scheduled streams and everything else for us. The cool thing about that one is I believe that'll come with its own save changes. Now, the challenge here is that I believe I need to await that, right? But this isn't an async method. So we'll do that. think that's the one we can do. We'll make that async. We'll do that one asynchronously just because there's a reason to. The other one's not so much. No, Joe Philly, I'm not going to make everything async. We're just going to do that one. Yes, S&B's correct. That is the thing that gets me. For a long time in an early part of the stream, I had some things that could have been async in our chat bot, and people kept being like, "Why isn't that async?" And I'd be like, well, I just short-circuited the async on that because I'm gonna have to go through so many other things and you know, make them all async, and I don't feel like doing that right now. So, and I understand what the level of the, you know, any given code is. If you know, if we run into a problem in this code, it doesn't matter. This is not a business. You know, we'll show sometimes, you know, the right way of doing things, and if we ever do short circuit something, we'll be like, no, we're short circuiting this, and usually say why and in what way. Okay, so this should just shove a bunch of random data into our database, we think. Did I build? Let's build first. It's an oversight in my opinion that JavaScript numbers are doubles, but JSON doesn't have number literals for infinity and not a number. That's what's causing your production issue. Oh, well. Yep. Good stuff. Okay. How do we want to do this? I want to see this work and create a data set as someone helping on this project would see. So let's change so we're going to ask for a database called devstreamsdb data test, and let's go ahead and stop this site just to be sure. So databases, we're going to add a new database. It's just going to be called that. So there's our test database. And now what I want to do is this. I want to come down here and I want to say update database. Let's see, that might work. We're about to find out. It looks like it's running everything, so I think it should be good. So that should have just gotten us an empty database. Database and tables. Hey, we got our tables. Fantastic. Okay, so that worked. Let's go ahead and run the site and see what we end up with. Obviously, haven't really tried this at all, so /init data. Alright, that might have just loaded data into our database. We're about to find out. Which I guess I could just go to the pages to check. But first off, do we have any channels? Nope. Derp. Why didn't that do anything? Maybe I named it wrong, actually. And I'll remove the word async just in case that's what's throwing it off. And I'm going to debug it. Yes, I do know that I could do a migration for it, but we're talking about getting rid of Entity Framework and switching our project to Dapper. So if we do that, I just have to adjust the calls here. That would actually use the migration, which I don't want to rely on, because this we could convert into a better form pretty easily. Okay, so this came in here. Why do we have time zones down there? I don't need to watch on that. Okay. Oh, we have tags. What? Count 0. Why didn't we go in there? What? What? Oh, I do have tags. Hasn't been resolved, but they do exist. Okay, so we have 11 tags, which should be these ones, I would assume. Let's continue on. Let's do a channels count. So we have no channels, so this one we should enter in. So let's jump down to this point here. And we should have a collection of 10 channels. We do. What happens when we try to save? Do we get an error? There's our error. Okay. Oh, we didn't set the URI. Okay, yeah. That would cause us our problem. URI equals https:// www.twitch.tv/DevChatter I. There we go. So there's what happened. Problem solved. Reload the page, and we are going to init the data again. Channels? Any? Wonk. Oh, that's fun. Something blows up when we go there now. Well, let's take a look. We must have borked the data somewhere. We'll take a look. First time seeing immediate window being used. Navarro, yeah. Yeah, no problem. It's a nice little thing when you just want to be able to run anything. You can run whatever you want in there. I could have added a watch on those values as well, if I wanted to see them over time to see the numbers changing or something like that. Right now I want to see why channels... why did channels blow up before, but now it loads with the data? Okay. Oh, maybe it was still running or something? I don't know. Ooh, these don't have scheduled events, though. So there's our problem. These didn't schedule, so... so let's go ahead and do this. Ooh, did they get channel tags? Yes, they did. Okay, so the tags wired up correctly. I think. I mean, we'll find out in a moment. Let me get rid of the tags. And we're going to get rid of the channels as well. So I'm going to get rid of all of our data. We're going to recreate it, which is fine. Okay. Data is gone. And I want to go to that point. Is the SQL Object Explorer in default in Visual Studio? I believe so. I am running Visual Studio Professional here, not Visual Studio Enterprise, so the mid-tier one, not the like super expensive one. On my presentation laptop, when I like go to conferences and things like that, you'll actually see me running Visual Studio Community Edition because I want to make sure that I'm showing features that everyone has access to. I believe the Object Explorer is everywhere, but I can't remember exactly. When I started streaming, did you go with webcam, green screen, and all the fancy things? No. When I started out, I was using a webcam. I was using this microphone. I was using this headset. which I still use for gaming. I'll show you guys the headset here in a second. So I was using just one of these, nice over the ear, so it's comfortable for any length of time. You know, it has a microphone that I wasn't using. I like them because they're wireless, and so are my bone conductive headset. I don't like being tethered down by the wire. I can move, I can get up out of my desk if I need to, and that's something I like. This headset that I've got here is actually very nice, lasts for a long time. It's a Logitech something or other. It's one of their gaming line ones. Let me tell you the name. It is a G533 gaming headset. Is actually what that one is, and I do recommend if you want to get started streaming, forget the green screen right away unless you really need to get rid of your background for some reason, because that's the green screen suddenly means you also need lighting. Without the green screen, your lighting's not going to look great, but in order to make a green screen work at all, your lighting has to be at least decent. So you'll notice variance in my lighting quality all the time because I tear everything down and put everything back up, so I don't always put it in the right spot with everything set up. But I do recommend getting a webcam, just because the interaction, you guys can see me, you can see when I'm paying attention to chat, when I'm focusing on stuff. You'll see focus change, appearance change, and that helps with the communication, I think. So I think you can get away with streaming programming without a webcam. I know someone that does. He streams a lot. Christian, welcome. Thank you for that follow, much appreciated. CMJ Chris Jones, a green blanket or sheet works as well. Yeah, so if you just want to generally blur it, and you're going to get not necessarily a great green effect like what I've got behind me right now, but it lets you not cover up as much of the screen. You can get that pretty easily. And yes, you could use the light theme in Visual Studio, and suddenly you've got plenty of light. Guys, help! Sables. Need coordinates from PostgreSQL to migrate to QTN. I don't know where to send you on that one. Paint your room green. Plutonin, the funny thing is actually there are some people that do just paint the wall behind them green. And that does actually work pretty well. Okay. So let's go ahead and try this. Init data. So we should have just caught that. We did. So we're going to go in here. I believe the world is ending out there. My son is crying about something. I don't know what. His mother is with him, so I don't need to go help him right now. So this is going to be DevChatter 0 that we are going to add on. Let's see, that should get us a scheduled stream object. Did we skip a property of this or something? Is that what's getting us? Yeah, we can. No, that should be enough. And when we go in here, it should add it, and that should should make this work. So that adds it to that, and then we go here, and then this should create the streams, the associated stream sessions. Should make a zoned clock. We should start adding each of these. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Hey, Christian. Thank you very much for that tier 1 sub. And welcome to the DevChatter crew. We need some hype in the chat for that one. Hype, hype. And if I didn't mention, seriously, people should join the Discord. It's good, and I recommend that to you too, Christian. There's a lot of really smart people in our Discord. They're the same people. Hint, they're the same people that are here in our chat. So if you've enjoyed chatting with me or any of the other people here, that's a good place to keep doing that. Okay, I am going to go ahead and just try jumping to the next one. Let me drop a breakpoint here. Cannot access disposed object. Uh-oh, something disposed. That's what happened. The DB-Context, maybe? Did we dispose of the DB-Context somewhere? We may have. Let's take a look at what happens with that DB-Context. So we pass in the DB-Context right here. And that runs, and it has a call save changes on that. So the creation of the scheduled streams. And welcome, Under the Digit. I'm guessing is how you pronounce that name. But welcome. Thanks for that follow and that was that a Twitch Prime sub? Thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub, and welcome to the DevChatter crew. Hopefully you both enjoy your DevChatter hype emotes, and each of you should have an egg badge now, as your Chatosaurus will eventually be hatching. Good stuff. There is magic people who do magic things. There's some really talented people streaming, so it is an intimidating thing to try. Yeah. S&B, you are correct. It is definitely a difficult and intimidating thing to stream. Hey, it's Lemon. Welcome, Lemon. Okay. So, how do we want to deal with that? So, it's getting called in here. This is the DB-Context, so that's what's happening. So this actually has knowledge of a DB-Context, which I don't know what I feel about. Alternately, I could pass it the DB-Context in the calls and make it so it actually requires the receipt of one. When you do that, so instead of having it on initialization, it gets it there. We'll do that for now. Not a big fan of this, but we're going to need a different one. This is more reason why we need to get rid of Entity Framework and swap it out for Dapper. This thing's totally getting swapped for Dapper. Okay, so that adds those, and that... Actually, we're not even going to pass in the context. There will be no context. It will not do the saving. The saving will be done outside. Why is that wannabe? Oh, because this tells it it's async. Okay. I'm like, wait a minute, why is that yelling at me? This shouldn't be that. Okay. So we got rid of that, so we pulled that out. This no longer actually knows about saving or threading. Let's go to where this is called. This has a couple of references. One of them is not here. This is in the create page and the init data page. Ah, the red squiggles, that's where you find them. Just go to the red squiggles, that's where the problem is. Okay, so we do this, and then we're gonna call... We're going to call save changes. We're going to await that. Now, in our init data, we're going to do the same thing. Instead of awaiting that call, we are going to, after all of them have been done, we are going to db.saveChangesAsync, and we are going to await that. Which I guess didn't need to be async at this point, and neither does that one. So goodbye all of our async stuff, because it doesn't need to be, we really don't need it. So when people were commenting before that the async sometimes gets out of control and you just start adding it up and up and up the tiers, when you get rid of it, hey, you can get rid of it all the way up. So, all right. In order to clear this back out, I am going to delete all the channel tags. So we're going to delete those. Yep. And then I'm going to delete all the channels again, and we're going to let this get recreated. View data. Goodbye. My channels. Okay. We're going to go ahead and run this in debug mode just to see if things work out. I think Lamont liked the way I pronounced his name. Darius. Hi. Hello, Darius. Is the thing above every method... the thing above every method is an extension or VS feature? Oh, that is a VS feature. That is a Visual Studio feature. That is called Code Lens, Darius. So the little references and everything. So this is Code Lens, and interestingly, that feature. So first off, it's only available in certain versions of Visual Studio. But then the next thing I want to point out, because that is actually a really great question, is... Here's the next thing I want to point out. It'll actually show up in VS Code in some places. I don't know what causes it to show up, but I've seen it in VS Code as well. Maybe I need to be running it or let it build or something like that. But definitely the C# extension in VS Code can get us the same kind of thing. So for anyone that is wondering, I'm also running VS Code. So if you like one or the other, use whichever one you like. They both work well. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and try to init the data again. We didn't throw any exceptions. Let's take a look at our data. Actually, let's just do it in the site. Hey, everybody's got 2 scheduled streams. Nice. And those are some start times that seem almost legit. That's not. That's wrong. I'm not sure what happened here. I borked that. That is 21, so that was 9 hours, and we must have added like 4 or 5. Okay. So my data wasn't perfect. My data guess. No one looked at that? Hang on. 1 through 5 hours. Yeah, 5 hours added to 9 hours would shift us over that because I started us at noon plus that. So... Can I just create a local time? Yes, I can. So instead of starting it at noon, let's start it at 9 a.m. We'll start it at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. and then random 9 hours. So the latest it could go would be 18, so that'd be 6 o'clock plus 5 would be 11. Okay. So we're good now. We don't shift over into the next day, or actually, maybe I did that intentionally. I don't know how we represent that. We may have a bug in the system that we're going to need to resolve eventually. Now that I think about it, maybe I did that intentionally so that I could do that, and I think I did actually. So I have now run into a bug of my own creation that I created intentionally, and then by that I mean we ran into a bug that I wanted to check for intentionally, and that's why I wrote the code the way I did. And now I'm an idiot and have just undone that. So we're gonna want to change the data model because we don't actually model it correctly. So that's really what we need to fix. Okay. That's not the site. Did I get rid of it? I must have closed it. Okay. Rerun the site. We're not going to nuke its data. We're not going to fix it. We're going to leave it, but we are going to leave it this new way, which is less likely to have the problem. But this gets us a basic set of fake data. So I'd call that pretty good. Tuesday and Friday. And someone could have 2 streams overlapping, and I'm not terribly worried about that. We just want to have some fake data to be able to see on the calendar. What the... yeah. Sorry, this page doesn't do anything yet. That is my mistake. I was going to show you this, but it doesn't work because that actually only works in the other branch. It doesn't work here. So that's the other branch. So this gets us our initial fake data. So there's a thing that creates initial fake data. So cool. Let's create a channel and make sure this works. So we're going to call this actual DevChatter. Twitch.tv/DevChatter. //www dot and then United States not in Pacific time, Eastern time, New York, and tags of JavaScript and C# and English. Save. Actually DevChatter, we're going to adjust your schedule and we're going to add in that. Now here's the real question. When we look at the stream sessions, view data, do we have them? Looks like we do. Oh, fantastic. 33. Hang on. Do we not have the ones for 33? Ooh. Uh-oh. There might be a bug. Oh, no, wait. No. That's scheduled stream ID. Hang on. I'm looking at the wrong thing. 33, what's your ID? 23. So we're looking for stream 23 in the other one. So in stream session, we want to have 23. Should be on the bottom. I don't see it. Now it's possible I'm blind because I didn't filter that, which I could, but I didn't. But I don't see 23, which tells me that that code didn't work. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and check that. Oh, what's going on? It's SharkDeed, exactly. Oh, what browser do I run? Thomas, I'm running in Chrome, but I believe I have IE and Firefox installed on this computer, though I don't remember. I don't check them very often. Let's see. Just didn't look like Mozilla or Chrome, so I thought maybe it was no, this is Chrome. It's just got a theme. Which I use a theme because I'm actually on a DevChatter account. I made a separate account on my computer just for that one. And as Fuel Stable, some people point out that one of the funny things is that, as SharkDeed mentioned, CodeLens is free on VS Code, but not in Visual Studio. So thanks, Microsoft. What will be your stream? Do I like chicken? I have no idea what you're talking about, Nava Styles. And Laurel, hello, greetings, welcome. Thank you, S&B. I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't know what Nava Styles is talking about. Coding Karma, hey, welcome back. I have no idea. I don't think so. Oh, chicken noodle soup. Ah, I got it. I do like chicken noodle soup. Master... Thanks, Lemons. Mug. I'm not drinking from a mug. Although I have a mug usually. But it's downstairs, because I needed to wash it. This is just a koozie around my drink. So... yeah. I think Nava Styles has a, the Pepsi Pig? What? No. I have Pepsi right here. See? Pepsi. We have Pepsi. And then I'm currently drinking Coke. So I drink both. They're both good. They're both good. We like them. Good stuff. Yeah, Coding Karma. Things can get confusing sometimes. Don't worry too much about it. All right, so let me go over to channels again. I'm going to add another scheduled stream to Tuesdays. No exceptions thrown. That's weird. Oh! I don't call save. I bet I don't call save. That's got to be what it is. I didn't call save or something like that. Context on post. Context save. That's the channel. The channel gets modified in here. And then we await the save. What? Channel. Scheduled streams. Add. The stream. Yes, that's right. Then we come in here. We add these to the scheduled stream. I bet, do we have to tell it to like nestedly add all that data? It should just do it automatically. That's a good question. Hang on. I see a bunch of stuff in chat. What's wrong with my Twitch? Stream is frozen and all I hear is skipping sounds. Laurel, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know on that one. I think you're getting top 1,000 rows. Oh! Was it showing 1,000 rows? Oh man, I didn't notice that. If that's the case, then I'm in this for no reason. Oh man, you're totally right. It's the top 1,000 rows. Son of a gun. Good call. Thank you. I derped. You're awesome. Thank you, Skull Crusher for life. You saved me from digging into a thing that wasn't a problem at all. There we go. Runk. Someone's right on top of that derp there. Nice. Thank you, Skull Crusher for life. Yeah, see? Derp. We all derp. Totally happens. And Laurel, I'm glad things are back to normal on your end. Well, thanks, Joe. But yeah, no, we all miss things, especially while streaming. You know, like going back and forth, talking with chat, and other stuff like that. It's easy to miss things. That's the way all devs work. We you know, like there are a dozen things that could be wrong. Who knows which one you just missed? Laurel, you have a question about higher education. We'd love to hear about it, and if it requires like a lot of in-depth discussion, it's something that could definitely go off stream onto the Discord at some point if you're interested. Skull Crusher. Yeah. DB developer. Yep. No, I think we've all done that one before. Oh, yes, Plutonin. I do still owe you the answer on that one. So I think our stuff's working. I want to commit this onto the branch and then review it and get it merged. So I'm not actually going to change my database connection string because I think everybody can basically use the same one for now. So this is that, and that's adding that to there. Okay, that's not bad. So, debug page to create, adding debug page to create initial data. There we go. Committed to this branch, which I'm going to push up, and that looks good. Okay, so helps knowing the question to answer it. Coding Karma. So Plutonin, Yes, as Coding Karma mentions it, we'd be willing to help you with that question, Laurel, as long as you tell us what the question is. So Plutonin asked an interesting question, because over here, inside of the startup, we initialize our IOC container inside of ASP.NET Core. If you don't know what that means, it's basically the IOC container. Think of it like this. It's essentially you've defined a map to tell the system, hey, when you create new objects, here's what I want you to do. If the object asks for this interface, so in this case, interface on the left, I want you to give it a new concrete instance of the thing on the right. Now, Brendan just said something specific which defined a scope. I said give it a new of that. And what that means, if we mouse over here, you will see that I have told it to get a scoped version. In addition to scoped version, I could also add a singleton. A singleton tells it use this same exact instance every time. Now in my case, I gave it the specific instance to use. But if I had just told it a type instead of giving it an instance, it would create it the first time and then continue using that every time after. And that's the way that it would work. In this one, there are a couple of scopes that we want to talk about, and I'm going to show you the documentation for that, because there's scoped and there's also transient. So let's go ahead and open this, because we can talk about these different scopes, because I want to make sure that I get them exactly right. Yeah, so add scoped, add transient, add scoped, add singleton. So you use these for different operations. Do you guys have them defined somewhere? .NET Core, scoped, and transient. And welcome, Adrian and friends. Greetings. Welcome to DevChatter. We are just taking a look right now. I wanted to show you guys, I know there's a good article that actually shows this difference. I think this is the one. Here we go. I think this is the article that actually has it. So interestingly enough, look, this was an article written by Steve Smith, who coincidentally has actually been a guest on the stream. So welcome, Adrian and friends. First off, I'm going to do a shout out to that channel. So if anyone doesn't know, that's another dev streamer that hopefully will be on the DevStreams site as soon as it is up and running. But welcome, greetings. Let me go ahead and hype as well. S and be hyped. I can hype as well. C Shark, welcome, greetings. Let me see what the question was in chat. Anyway, let me show this. I think this is the article that actually explains it well. This is the one written by Steve, right? I didn't change it. Yeah, okay. Dependency, that. This may be the same one I was in a moment ago, but we'll see. They not? Service lifetimes. Here we go. This is the piece we wanted. So service lifetimes, I will link this in the chat. So this is actually what you wanted. So Plutonin, there is the answer to your question, but I will explain. So transient, as this mentions, are created each time they're requested. So a transient one means every single time give me a new one. This is the example that I gave when I described this. The scoped one is limited to a request. Now, the reason why we're getting this warning is because of the way that middleware works. We have to be cautious of that, because if you're pulling a scoped object in the middleware, that's outside of the standard request that is being done in ASP.NET Core. So you can get some weirdness if you're using a scoped version in that. So just be cautious there. If you're in that scenario, just don't do the injection the normal way for it. There are some other ways to do it, and I think that warning will probably explain it. The last one is the singleton. So there are sometimes things that you really only want one version, and it's designed to be thread safe, and you can use it everywhere. When you do that, you want to use a singleton. So for example, a system level resource that's just always available, always the same, and doesn't really have state that is affected by anything else is a good candidate for a singleton. So the concept here is, here's the good example that we're using. So the system clock, everything needs access to it. Everything can access the same system clock. You can all access it at the same time, and there's no penalty for doing that. Because of that, we can all use the same singleton. So we can all use the same system clock, and it can be used everywhere. We don't need to create new instances. There are some things where you want to get a new instance and you don't want it to be shared. That usually means there's some state on the class. Now sometimes, because you know that it's going to get used multiple times through a request, what you'll do is you'll say that state can remain the same for the request because a single user request is going to happen, right? Someone does a get to your page and you can use the same instance of your object. Use a scoped for that. And if you want to make sure there's a new one each time, transient. So in our case, we used scoped for these, despite the fact that I think we technically could have gotten away with a singleton for each one of them. I'd feel a little bit more comfortable using the scoped version just because they have data contexts that we're dealing with. So I'd rather do that. And there's the short answer. So there's further article linked in chat if you are interested in reading more. Plutonin. Let me catch up on some other stuff going on in chat. Hello, greetings everyone. If you didn't see me say hi already. And yes, see, as Joe mentioned, usually only transient and singleton. There are a couple of places where you could get away with scoped, but yes, transient, singleton are the more common ones. There are a couple of places where you might want to do scoped. If, for example, you want to take advantage of the fact that sometimes a class will do a small amount of caching for you, that is one reason to use these scoped. It is a single state change. Only one instance needs to be changed to update everybody. Yes, Joe. Well said. And greetings, Intrinsic. Thanks for that follow, much appreciated. And anyone else who's in here, feel free to click that follow button if this stream seems interesting and fun. We try to do a lot of discussion as well as coding in here. And all the source code for everything we do is out on GitHub at github.com/DevChatter. And you can also join our Discord to chat with me and the other DevChatter people. Quick intro for anybody that is new and just showed up. My name is Brendan. This channel here is DevChatter. We are an awesome community of people that are interested in coding, improving what we do, and just generally having a fun time writing stuff. The project we are working on is a community website designed to promote developer streams. So it is actually a valuable thing for all of us here, as it is designed for streamers to be able to promote their streams to viewers, and for viewers to be able to find streams that are interesting. So that is the goal of the website. We are open to contributions, so feel free to check it out on GitHub, and you can take a look at the issues list to see what stuff you would be interested in taking on if you have any interest in that. Let me check. Let's see. Turning hardware. Considering pursuing an undergrad in software development, I just want a quick opinion about online colleges. Don't know about any online colleges, actually. Forgetting to put a limit on SQL query to add a data set with a few. True Fuels Nable. And greetings. Oh man, with the names. Uopi, I'm guessing, and I might have totally butchered that, and if I did, I'm sorry. Let me know and I'll try to say it better. Okay, so we got that going. That's there. I committed, right? Yes, I did. I don't want to commit that change, so I'm actually going to discard that, and I'm going to delete the database that we were just using because I don't need it anymore. This one, delete. Data test. Yeah. And just in case it's running, close the existing connections, please. Goodbye. Okay, there we go. So we're back to our standard database, and I can switch to it again if I like. There we go. Cool. So, site generally works. Let's take a look on GitHub and see what we've got here. We should have 3 branches. We do. This is the initial data branch. which we are going to create. We are going to put in a pull request and see if we can get someone to review it. This does what? This database initial database data creation creates a page that will seed the database. That's the word I want to use. Initial database seeding. Going into master, there we go. So there's our pull request. Critical Boy, we are doing a web development project. This is a website that is designed to help the developer community to promote and find streamers, I should say. The channel's not a specific stream. Do you think using a background service to keep an in-memory copy of some data from the database is a good practice? So far I've run into a couple of thread issues with the DataContext. I'm not sure, Navarro, but we're actually planning on switching from Entity Framework Core to Dapper on this stream. And yes, Joe Philly is correct. That's the main thing we are building with this project. I wanted to get this in place. Anyone that is actually planning on working on things, if you want to get some initial data, that is a great place to start. So feel free to branch off that branch if you are one of the people that is interested in working on the project. Either way, a couple of things I want to mention. Some people asked about videos of things about learning to code and stuff like that. I've done some series on learning to code and beginner programming things, which I do want to mention. I actually have them in channels in my as playlists in my YouTube channel. That's the word I'm looking for. So we actually have a bunch of things for that. So there were 9 episodes we did of our 164 episodes that we're on that were about learning to program in C#. We actually have playlists for all this stuff, so if you want to see the stuff we've done on this project, we have 10 videos that we've done on that, and various other things, so 29 videos of pair programming with people, and different stuff like that. So good stuff out there if you are interested. That's actually where we keep the archive of all of our videos, links in the chat and down below, obviously. Lemons is wondering why we are using, why we're suggesting using Dapper, and I will explain. So in most of our projects on this stream, we are using EF Core already. So we have shown a lot of how to use EF Core, how to work with it, how you can set a lot of stuff up with it, including some advanced ways of sort of abstracting out your data layer while still being able to have very complex and capable access to that data. So we've shown some of that already on the stream. I am a big fan of Dapper. It is a micro ORM, and I've used it for projects in the past, and I like it. I would like to, at some point, show people a different approach to data access and how another ORM works. So we figured this would be a reasonable project to switch over to Dapper and use instead. So that's actually the reason. It's just to show it off to people, and because I like Dapper. So why not? I mean, I like EF Core too, so that's the big reason, Lemons. You have so plain reality, you have experience in C#, you feel like you never learned how to properly structure a project. Oh, in that case, there are a lot of things that you could learn. There are good resources for learning good structure. Plain reality, I am actually working on a project called Clean Coding in C#. If I can get around to finishing up all that stuff, I'm doing a Pluralsight course on that. For now, there are some other resources that I would recommend checking out. I would recommend you check out the Pluralsight videos from a guy named Steve Smith. So if you look up Pluralsight and check out Steve Smith's videos, he does have some that I think would be very useful for learning about that sort of thing specifically. You can also check out some of our other projects as well. What languages must be used for opening hidden files? Opening hidden files. I don't know what you mean. You can just open hidden files in Explorer and Windows. I'm not sure what you mean. And yes, Joe Philly, Steve Smith. It's a very generic name, but Pluralsight Steve Smith, which I didn't type his name right. So this guy right here. Courses I'd recommend. First off, I highly recommend, he has this pair programming course. Really, really awesome course right here. Highly recommended by me. You'll never, ever guess why it's what are you doing, thing? Get out of the way. You'll never figure out why it's highly recommended by me. That you watch this pair programming course by Steve Smith. You'll never figure that one out. Anyway, so that's one course that he's got that's interesting. I was just kidding on that one, but Steve has these courses are a couple of years old at this point. But for general project structure stuff, Steve's courses, which I guess are like 7 years old now, these are not bad. His N-tier applications. When he uses that term, he does not mean it in the old, like, N-tier thing. Like, he doesn't mean bad layering. He means good layering. This is actually using onion architecture, so it's actually pretty good. There's also a domain-driven design course that he did with Julie Lerman that is also very good, and we'll talk about project structure and things like that. So those are both good. I would recommend them for specifically what you're talking about. So... I think both of those will show good structure in C#. The bot project on his stream is an example of clean architecture. Yes, and S&B is correct. If you check out on my GitHub, you will find a project that is the DevChatter bot, and it has one of these structures as well. So if you take a look at how I structured it, it's broken up into groups, and I really like this. There's no one video, there are like 100 videos here on the channel where we built this structure. So if you watched a lot of DevChatter, you saw a lot of how we structured and why, and how we grew to this structure. We started off with a lot of good pieces and built to it along the way. So feel free to take a look at these as well. You can pull this project and take a look at it. Just dig in GitHub. But this is an example of how to structure a project. In here, you'll find our basic models and interfaces and things like that. This is all the code dealing with Entity Framework. This is all the code that talks to the Google API. This is all the code that talks to Twitch. This is all the code that deals with web stuff. This is the actual website, and that's our unit tests. So very, very simple structure that breaks apart each thing into its own library. Just one example. Yeah, I guess I linked that, but I can link to the bot directly. So the source code for that is right there. So yeah. Most languages can open files. Yes, C# can open hidden files. Definitely. Can you give an example of domain-driven design? Uber reviews. If you want to use domain-driven design, I recommend you either pick up a book on domain-driven design or watch that Pluralsight course from Steve Smith that I was talking about. And one of my recommendations for that one, if you don't have Pluralsight, they usually give at least a week trial or something like that, I think, that you could take a look at. So that is my suggestion for picking up that. I might have a domain-driven design book down in my reading list down below. So Uber reviews, yeah. So if work offers it, check out the domain-driven design course by Steve Smith and Julie Lerman. You'll find it on Pluralsight. It's also good, and yeah, so it's good stuff. And thanks, Plain Reality. I don't know if you're talking about me or everyone in the chat, but yes, I agree. The people in chat are awesome. So good stuff. Anyway, I think we're in a reasonable spot. We managed to do something that I think will be useful to the other people that want to contribute to the project, getting them some initial data. I will try to merge that in after reviewing it later. I don't want to merge it in right now. A couple of things I do want to mention. If you're not following me on Twitter, you should. It's, because why not? But realistically, the biggest thing is make sure you're following this channel so that you get notified when we go live, because we do stream 4 times a week on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Sadly, you can't link in the chat if you're not like me or someone else. So the link that Skullcrusher for Life nicely put in there does get blocked. He's like, hopefully links are allowed. They're not, but I will link what you linked. So it was right there. And I'm glad people enjoyed the stream today. I am definitely starting to feel better. I was sick for a while, so I missed some streams, but definitely getting out of it. Pluralsight also offers 5 courses a week that are pretty good for seeing how their website works. Oh, that's really cool, Skull Crusher. I didn't know that. How old is my Twitter photo? I don't know, like decade? I don't know. I'd guess. It's ancient. I don't update these things. It's probably from when I joined Twitter. How old's my Twitter account? Probably over a decade. So other stuff. We link to the GitHub. We link to the Discord, and I know I linked to my YouTube, but I'll link all those again. Other than that, Living Wheelchair, thanks for that follow. I want to thank everybody for showing up today. I had a lot of fun. Most of our streams are 2 to 3 hours. And I usually try to wrap them up at a reasonable point, have a little bit of discussion. Sometimes I've got a hard deadline, but it varies. If you are new, we hope to see you back on Monday. Should be a good one. And I also want to mention Tuesday is a big one. On Tuesday, I don't know what we're doing, but we're going to do something. Tuesday is our 1-year anniversary of DevChatter. So we started on February 5th. 2018, so we're gonna hit our 1-year anniversary coming up in a couple of days. Crazy to think, streaming for a year. It's been really awesome, so I look forward to seeing everybody on Monday and then again on Tuesday. Happy coding, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye everyone. Oh, I forgot to run my credits. I'm running my credits. We're not done yet. Credits. Yay, credits. S&B. And I know Greendolf was here, and Stoolpinner. Thank you for helping out with the with the moderating today. Thank you for all these wonderful people who followed the stream. Awesome stuff. And there is a schedule command if you're wondering when the streams are. And Nate, Greendolf, Christian, and under the digit, I'm guessing. Just guessing on the names there, but thank you very much for those Twitch subs from each of you. Please enjoy your Twitch emotes and your sub badge. It should be good stuff. I did mention that we do have a schedule. So I don't know where you live, but examples. So there's my schedule. You can also find information about the schedule down below. So it's 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Mondays and Tuesdays. So hopefully I will see you all there on Monday. And yeah. Take care. I'll leave things running for a little bit. Yeah, see, another Germany. I was actually wondering about that one, actually. But nowhere. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. I will see you on Monday. Later.